I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game... Oh, hello. Okay, cool. I was just gonna start, but whatever. Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. And today I'm reviewing Ravensburger. Today I'm reviewing Labyrinth Chronicles from Awaken Realms and Ravensburger. Although I believe this is more Awaken Realms than Ravensburger. It's obviously built on a Ravensburger game, Labyrinth, but it's a very different experience. There's a lot of things to cover before I dive into it. Number one, this channel is currently sponsored by Allplay. More about them at the end of the video. Number two, this game is put out by Awaken Realms. I will be covering this game, reviewing it, giving my thoughts, a score, and all of that. But please keep in mind that I do work for GameFound, and while GameFound and Awaken Realms are separate companies, they do have some shared ownership between them, so in case that introduces any conflict, I just want to make sure you have all that. Well, it does introduce conflict in theory. I want to make sure you have all the knowledge so you can decide how much use this review is to you. Number three, this is a prototype, all rules, components, subject to change, all of that stuff as usual. This is a very final prototype. It's a near final pre-production copy, but there are certainly changes between this and the final version you will be getting. I believe this will be available on Express crowdfunding, so it's a, it's half pre-order, half crowdfunding. You'll be getting it sooner than a campaign that will be a year and a half out down the road, any of that kind of thing. And finally, number four, this is not really a legacy game. It does have a campaign element to it where you'll be unlocking content as you go through it, and in order to maintain the mystery, I will be telling you my thoughts and opinions, but I will not be getting into various spoilers on things that'll be happening. So I'm going to cover like the intro game for you. I'm going to talk about that, how that first game works. I'll show you a few turns, all of what you're trying to do, and then from there, I will loosely touch upon some of the types of things you can expect to unlock across the course of the game. So that's a lot of kind of things to know that we have to jump into things to cover before we jump into it. With that said, let's talk about what this is. Labyrinth Chronicles is Labyrinth, and then some. When I say it's Labyrinth, I mean you could play standard classic Labyrinth on this if you so wanted to. I don't so want to. My kids might. I don't. But Labyrinth Chronicles takes the core concept of Labyrinth and it turns it into a cooperative experience in which you can go through a series of games. I don't know the exact, I have to remember the exact. You go through a bunch of games and you're slowly unlocking content as you go while having these challenges you're trying to overcome while the game gets harder and while more tools are added to your disposal. The basic idea is you're going to start with this setup over here. This is going to have obviously, a more miniature production to it. So we've got these tiles over here that are significantly cooler than your standard Labyrinth tiles because they're miniatures, they're walls, they're like these things over here, like actual walls and all that. But what you're going to be doing is you're going to set up these 16 tokens on the board in this little kind of like diagonal pattern over here with like, with a little pattern, 1, 1, 1, 1. It's a cross pattern. Think of it as the pattern you try to use in Battleship when you're trying to make sure you don't miss any spots but hit every ship. That's what this pattern is. But then from there, you have these portals over here. So I'm going to find the matching tiles. We're going to find this one over here. We're going to put this. I'm going to put a face like that so you can see it more easily from the top cam. And then this gets dropped into the bag over here where other tokens will slowly be dropped. Then we're going to grab this one over here and put it again where the matching token is. And then we're going to drop the next one over here, put this where the matching token is. That's going to be an orange one. It is over here, perfect, okay? And then we have another orange one, which will go to this one. That's where these are going. You find the matching card, you take the portal, you put it on the board, that's where your people are trying to get to. Because like in typical Labyrinth, you have these things you're going towards, but in this case, all of these objects, they're kind of accessible once the portals land on them. These are where they are, but the portals have to go there. So effectively, if one of our people got to the purple portal, they would effectively be taking the purple item. That's what we're going to have a turn order. Let's go ahead and just do a random turn order so we can do this over here. We're going to play 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we have our red person going first. I'm just going to show you a bunch of turns over here and then go through it. The first thing you do on a turn is you're going to roll this die, and we got that. We're going to reveal an event. Now keep in mind, this is all the stuff that happens in the first game. There's no spoilers here. We have an event over here. The event says move all the blue ones. So this is the blue row over here. You can see the blue. We're going to take these and slide it along. Take this and slide it along, maintaining the orientation. This is not your typical move. This is the move the board is doing to mess things up for us, which is messing it up because otherwise we had access to this purple portal and now we don't. But we do have this wizard over here, not wizard, this character, Roger the Knight specifically, and we need to get to one of the portals. So let's go ahead and try to see if we can get here. Can we get there? Not the easiest, honestly, because we can't go there. We have these other options here. I think if we do this, we don't have to get that. Let's go ahead and place this in. We're going to slide this in like so. These are kind of not meant to be sliding like that, unfortunately. So we're going to slide that in. And by doing that, this token over here is going to enter on the other side, where whenever you have anything on a tile, it enters on the other side when you slide things. And then we're going to move over here and claim that spot. So we're going to take that card, which is specifically was the blue portal. We'll take this. We'll add this to our collected items. We'll put a new item, and now we are placing the blue portal on that specific character who is over here, I believe. There we go. That is a turn. You saw one of the turns of the game. This is going to drop into the bag. Let's do another turn. We're going to roll the dice. We got another question mark. Okay, cool. Okay, that's an option. This time the question mark says, here comes trouble. Activate the goblin looter of the active character's color. And we're currently on blue right now, so we're going to activate the blue spot, which means we're going to take a goblin and put it onto that blue portal over there. They are trying to get to that treasure before we do. This also has a shuffle symbol, which means we're going to shuffle the events. The starting event deck, I say starting events because more cards will be added, is going to have one event for each of the sides, which is going to mess up your whole entire labyrinth, and then one event that's going to have you shuffle, as well as activating the active player's colors goblin. We're blue, so we're activating that character. But now it's our turn. Blue's over here. Let's see if we can get anything. Well, if we place this like so, the tricky part is, ideally, we want to get to this one over here. That would make our life really easy. Well, easy might be the wrong terminology, but I guess we could do this over here. So we're going to place this down like so, and then we're going to pop this out, and we're going to move our blue person over here and boot that goblin back to camp, and we're going to get that spot, which is important. You do want to get to the portals that the goblins are on when you are able to do so. We'll place out a new one over here, and we got the lyre, the harp, or whatever it is. We're going to place this out over here, and we have another blue portal done. We're going to go ahead and roll so you can see more things. We'll take the next player's turn. It's now on to Demetrius the Huntress. We're going to roll. I cannot believe we got another event. There's 2 event sides on that 6-sided die. We've done them 3 times in a row. That is statistically unlikely. The event over here, move the purple columns, and then tuck this underneath the deck. We're going to have our purple columns going 1 over here through the board. We're going to have 2. We'll take a few more turns just so you can see all the things you need to see. And again, this is all the standard basic game. We're going to move this over here, like so. And then we are done over there. There we go. We are done. Let's go ahead now and move her. She's got a direct access to blue, which is amazing. She's going to go right there. We've got some blue 3 times in a row, by the way. That is very atypical, but it can happen. Then we're going to have the next one, which is this person. We're going to have this, and then we're placing that with the blue portal, and then we're going to go to purple, Miranda the sorceress, and we're going to roll a die. We are not going to get an event. We did not get an event. Good. We are going to put one of our goblins on the purple portal. Now, the reason this is important to try to get to the portals that the goblins are on is because if on a future turn you roll purple again and there's a purple goblin there, then things are going to get a little they're going to steal the thing. They're going to steal the thing. And for right now, I'm going to show you what happens if you let things fall behind, because it will very quickly become a problem. So let's pretend we can't even get here. I'm not even going to try because I want to show you what happens when things stay on the board. But we do have this character over here. We do have this over here. We could place this like so. And then boom, there we go. We got our first non-blue artifact over there. We're going to have her move around. She's going to take this. By the way, it's worth noting you can move and then place, or you can place and then move. Both those are options for you. We're going to gather the red spot, and we're going to place a new one out. We now have the harp over here. Is it a harp? I don't know the necessarily names for all the instruments. Anyways, there we go. We now roll the die. It's the next person's turn, and we roll. I'm going to pretend there's a red because I really want to show you a bunch of goblins coming out. Now we have this over here. By leaving this alone for 1 turn, until we roll events, until we roll the question mark for the event deck, you're going to start building up goblins, and it's going to become more and more likely that things are going to go wrong. Because now, if we don't get to one of these, we now have 2 chances of them stealing. So right now it's back to red over here. Red could fortunately get over here. In fact, they can get over there, and they can even set themselves up with a move over here. And we're going to replace this and get another token. So we're going to find another one. We're going to take the red. We're going to put another one out. We now have that. We're going to find that, which is over here. Look at those all hanging out together. And then we're going to drop down the bag. And now it goes to blue. So again, we're going to roll the die because it's now blue's turn. We got yellow. Yellow's going to pop out. And again, you have another goblin popping out. Now again, eventually, you will roll a number which has a goblin already on it, and at that point, they will take the item instead, which means you'll be getting less things at the end of the scenario. But that's basically the arc of play. The arc of play for the first game. For the first game, the arc of play is you are ultimately trying to find find a variety of artifacts and whatnot. The specific ones that the goblins are seeking out are going to make your life harder if you don't get there sooner rather than later. You do get temporary reprieves whenever those events are rolled because they do mess up the board a little bit, but they also give you a moment to catch your breath and get to a spot that you otherwise may have left behind, because because otherwise they will slowly be building up. A single turn of not getting the artifact that the goblin is on means there's more and more goblins popping out and running the risk of you losing access to those specific ones. That's game one. At the end of game one, let's go ahead and find our sheet over here. At the end of game one, I'm going to grab one of these so you can see a fresh one, because I don't want you to see the one I'm currently. Here we go. Is it this one or the other one? There's two different sheets. This is the other one. We need the other. There's two different modes to play this game. Well, I guess aside from even the basic Labyrinth. So, we have these sheets over here which are going to be tracking our progress. On these sheets, at the end of game one, assuming you got at least 10 items, and to be specific, the game actually tells you to get to 10 even if you got less than 10, although you probably will get 10, although it does depend on who you're playing with. You'll then go ahead and for each 10 gems, effectively, you're going to mark off a build symbol and slowly be unlocking new buildings. Those buildings, just to show you like one of the first ones over here that you get, is the inn. Those buildings are going to be these boxes that give you new things, new rules, new components that are going to add to your experience. There's going to be things that make your life easier by giving you access to various characters and things that they do and items that they give you and objectives that they give you. This is where we get into like spoiler adjacent territory. They're giving you, I'm not telling you what you're unlocking, but you are unlocking new mechanics, new elements, new cards, and new things that will help you in the game for the most part as you get these. But they give you more challenges. They help you while giving you more things to work towards aside from the basic just running around the board. But additionally, other things in this game, go ahead and let's get the sheet back. As the goblins get things, you're going to be marking off spots in this track, and as they move along this track, they'll be making your life harder by opening these boxes. As well as the fact that as you work your way through these chapters over here, you have chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4, those are going to be specific areas where you move to another chapter by having done something hard to do. For example, normally in the game, you only get one gem over here per artifact you cash in. There's only 16 artifacts, so how do you get 20? Well, things will let you get to 20 eventually, but when you eventually get to 20 in a single game, you get to move on to the next spot. Then 25, then 30, then 40, you get to move to these subsequent chapters to be able to get that progression. Again, unlocking buildings and things as you go. As you get to those chapters, you'll be unlocking more things that will make your life harder and more interesting by unlocking mechanics, new events that will show up in this deck, I'm trying to balance what I would assume would happen versus not giving you new stuff. There's going to be new stuff in the game that is going to be unlocking as you go through it to make your experience more interesting as far as the things that you're doing, giving you more tools at your disposal for your characters, and giving you more challenges that make the game harder as you play through it. That is basically what Labyrinth Chronicles is. It is a progressive, resettable campaign game. It's like Legacy adjacent. It's a resettable game. There's also magnets and things that have a nice quality of life aspect but less of a gameplay aspect, but there's a bunch of stuff you're unlocking as you go through it, and you're just playing through cooperative Labyrinth, working together to try to get as many things over the goblins. Also, there's going to be other monsters, so there's going to be things that slowly pop out as well, as opposed to just the basic small little goblins. And this is not a spoiler, you'll see this when you open the box, it's pretty much pretty obvious. Anyways, that is the game, which means it's time for my review of what I like, don't like, and see others not liking, all of that. Let's starting off with what I like. First of all, the production. The production is the biggest, starting point over here. It's not the main reason to play a game, ever, but the production is top-notch. I grew up with Labyrinth. As much as I don't like Labyrinth nowadays, I mean, basic Labyrinth that is, it is fun to go ahead and place these in a way that is significantly cooler than standard Labyrinth. It just has that table presence on the board. Combined with the miniatures, the portals, all those things are great. The art, everything here, fantastic production, which is what I would expect. That's just what you see. But outside of that, the game is very straightforward and fun. It does have you doing that Labyrinth aspect, but working your way towards trying to find these items. And I don't know about your experience with Labyrinth. Mine has always been that 90% of the time, you can find a way to push the thing in to get the thing that you want. The problem with Labyrinth for me has always been that 10% of the time that you can't, if it's your turn, that's just less fun. Because if you're playing it, again, if you're playing as a kid, it might be a little different. Playing Labyrinth as once you get to teenager years or adult, you can find those pathways most of the time, which means that 10% of the time that you can't just feels like, okay, so I got the luck of the draw on that particular tile I'm going for. Making it cooperative removes that element of occasionally you can't get something because you are working together as a team. And again, you'll also, this is where we get to, there's things you'll unlock that help you with that collaborative aspect of being able to work with your teammates on your turns and help them out in different ways. So overall, it is a not really tile placement, tile movement, I guess. As you shove a row of tiles, try to find that pathway. It is fun to find that pathway, especially when it's complicated, especially when you're looking like, how can I get from here to here? I don't see a way to do it. And eventually you find a way to push something in that you're able to do it. Again, as you play through the game, you'll have more tools at your disposal and things you can do. And that just, it's fun. It's a fun mechanic to engage with, especially in this more cooperative element. The unlocks keep the game engaging. The fact that you're unlocking content, the basic game is very straightforward. It's kind of fun, but like, not fun. It's like, hey, that was a fun game. Like, I played the very first, like, tutorial game. Like, the rules are actually, like, but when you get this game, the rules might seem more intimidating than they are. You only have to read a few pages to start your first game. And then you only have to read a few pages more to start playing on an ongoing basis. Like, the rulebook is deceptive in the sense that there's a lot of pages you don't really have to read to be able to dive into this. So it's quick to get up and running. I played the first game, which is charming, but then it does actually give you more charming. Not amazing and fun, charming. But I wouldn't want to play that first game forever. It is too straightforward and it's too basic, but the unlocks and objectives and goals and other things that the game keeps throwing at you do keep it more engaging, with minor asterisks we'll come back to. So overall, it's an engaging unlocking system that is simple to play, easy to get up and starting, and accessible at a variety of age levels. While mostly pretty simple, there are times you will feel very clever for being able to figure it out. Because again, there's different challenges. Like that first time that I got 20 gems in a game, because there's things, without getting too much into it, there's ways that it'll become easier and easier if you just keep playing. But I felt pretty accomplished the first time I got 20. This would have to go into the nuances of like the time I did it, I had to have a perfect game. I had to not let the goblins steal a single time. Now again, it's actually, if you keep playing, the way the game's kind of structured is that as long as you keep playing, things will get a little easier until you unlock stuff that makes it a little harder. So you could get to the 20 differently. But for me, I had a perfect game when I did it, and it felt pretty accomplished because as much as the game is decently easy, getting a perfect game was challenging. And so I do find there's lots of times in this game where you do have those moments of feeling clever as you play through it, of feeling like you managed to find or work together to get something done. And all of this does kind of make me want to play again, which let me find that sheet again, because one thing I didn't talk about is as you play through the game, you're not going to be able to unlock everything in one playthrough. You'll have limited access. There's a whole bunch of these boxes with these buildings. But for example, you have these three buildings here, Our House, Enchanter's Hut, and Town Hall. You can do both of these over here, which means you can get 2 of those 3 buildings. The Meadow, School, and Catacombs, you can only get 1 of those 3. These 4 over here, you can only get 2 of those 4, which means finding the combinations of elements that you have does make it a different experience every time you play. I have not played through multiple times. I've only played through the arc once so far, but it does. What's interesting to me is there's mechanics you unlock with each box that in theory you might not have access to. So like, think of all these mechanics. Each box represents a new mechanic or a new element, and some of them you just won't be able to do. Like, hey, I'm glad you enjoyed this game, but you will not have those types of abilities next time you play unless you unlock that building again. And I like that. It gives me the desire to explore the boxes I haven't unlocked, and it also gives me that kind of aspect of, well, what is the game like if I combine this ability and those abilities as opposed to these abilities? Like, it's a different experience, so I enjoy that sense of progress that the game can give me, as well as the sense of wanting to explore more that I have even when the game is done. As far as what I don't like in the game, first of all, the target audience is tough, at least for me. My first game of this I played together with my kids because I wanted them to experience it, and they are excited about it. It's a fun experience. The problem I have, personally, playing Labyrinth with my kids, is that I try my best not to be an alpha gamer. I really, really do. I think I'm generally pretty good at not being an alpha gamer. For those who don't know, an alpha gamer is the idea that in a cooperative game, I sit there and I'm like, well, that's a better move. Do this, do that. Those are better. This is how we'll do this. The problem I have with Labyrinth Chronicles is that I kind of want to play a perfect game. And when I'm playing with my kids and watching them not find the options that I find, I kind of want to point things out, and I don't. But it means that I'm mostly kind of just there for the ride and the experience and playing suboptimally because they are young, and, well, my daughter will definitely... It's that different kids have different degrees of finding that perfect move. But I think this is a good kids game that is accessible with, like, especially maybe, like, teenagers or even, or... I'd say that 8 to like 14 range, something like that. There's a good degree of enough strategy, but also like difficulty. Like, it's a good experience there. For me personally, I had more fun when I wasn't playing this with my kids. With my kids, it was good bonding time. For me personally, I had more fun playing through most of this I did solo. I played most of this solo over here just to go through it and to get a sense of the experience. And honestly, even standard co-op with adults, I think this might be too light for my game group. but it is very zen-like and peaceful. I enjoyed this as a solo experience, going through this and just trying to accomplish it all. Playing 2 characters, not all 4, but overall I just had a lot of fun I had a lot of fun with the unlock and the progression. But it's interesting because it's a little too light. We'll get to that as well. It's a little too light for what I personally would want out of it, although there is an advanced mode I haven't played yet, so that does come with that caveat. I only played the basic mode for my first experience. But the target audience question is tough. It's a little too light for me in terms of the experience I want out of a solo game or a cooperative experience with my game group, but it's a little... I playing with my kids, I wanted to alpha gamer a little too much. I'll also say that you can get stuck a little bit at times on the progression in a way that's not satisfying. Now, again, this would require going more into how the progression works, but effectively, most of the time when I was playing through this, I would finish a game, new content would unlock, and that kept me engaged for the next game. There were times, very few times, but it happened, where I finished a game, because of the progression I got, no new content was unlocked, and then I just had to play the exact same game again, which the problem is this game isn't strategic enough for me to enjoy that quite as much. I like this game enough when that progression is in play. I don't like this game enough, when the progression is not in play. So for me, those few games throughout the experience where I felt like I was just playing it again, just to unlock those new gems, just to get to the next step, those felt a little annoying. Fortunately, the game is pretty short if you're playing it solo. I'd say like playing with my kids is probably 45 to an hour. Playing myself is probably 30 minutes a game. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy. I sat down one day and I played this for like 4 hours straight, which is, we'll talk more about that in final thoughts. Anyways, yeah, so, yeah, that's a small aspect of it. I didn't enjoy those games, and I almost just wanted to cheat and just give myself gems because I don't mind I didn't, but like, it just feels annoying to do the exact same game again because you happen to stall on your progress. As far as I can see, others not liking, it's still Labyrinth. It's a very light, basic game. Even with the advanced mode, there's unlocks elements, but at its core, you are shifting tiles around and then moving through the labyrinth over here as you attempt to find the various items while unlocking content. It's still Labyrinth at its core. I'll also say that it's not a game that you really lose in a typical sense, or at least I haven't found a lost pathway. Rather, it's a game of progression. You try to progress, the game can slow down your progression, but just play again and you'll progress more. If you've played games like, say, Dwarf Romantic, it's very much that kind of vibe. You're playing to progress, you will progress slower or faster, depending on how well you do. I don't mind that, and I think they did a good job with that here, but just know going in, you don't really lose, you just win slower. And then lastly, resetting the game is a slight chore. Consider the fact that a game can run half an hour. The final reset at the end, where you kind of reset for everything else for other players to play, that can be like a half-hour long experience in itself. Fortunately, it's a single half hour at the very end, but you have to tuck everything back in the boxes, reset stuff, to be able to make it fully resettable for the next time you want to dive into it, either yourself or with anyone else. As far as final thoughts on Labyrinth Chronicles, I'm unsure how to rate this one, because like that I mentioned already, I sat down one day. The first day I played this, I sat down and I played a game. And then I played a game. And I played a game. And 4 hours later, I was still playing. It is kind of addicting. It's kind of addicting to just go into this and play the experience and just unlock more content and then just reset and do it again. It is a very charming experience. It's kind of what I would have wanted a game like Dwarf Romantic to be. I enjoyed Dwarf Romantic. I like this one more. But the flip side is, it's very much a lighter experience. I do want to dive into it again, but my next dive in might be properly playing with my kids, I don't know, to see how they want to explore and unlock the content as I try to nudge them to unlock the buildings that I didn't unlock so that I can experience something different. I'll figure it out, I don't know. But for me, it's not a game that I can sit there and say, oh, this was a challenging experience. I can sit there and say, there were individual moments where I felt challenged to try to find something and make it all work, and those felt strategically satisfying, but there's not really a loss. It's not really a challenge. It's a game you play to unlock more stuff, and then you play it again to unlock more stuff, and the game throws challenges at you. I do want to look into the advanced mode, and I haven't done that yet, so I can't really comment on that, but if that escalates the difficulty, that would be amazing, because I do want this to feel a bit more difficult, a bit more like, but I don't know if the bones really work for that. At least in the early levels, you don't have enough tools to really make it more challenging. Later levels, there's ways to adapt it. I'm a little torn. I'm going to give this a 3.5 out of 5. I wanted to give it a higher score because, again, I can't take away from the fact that I sat down for 4 hours straight and just played this solo. Because there was another one. It had that addictive, almost roguelike quality to it as you kind of unlock more content, face more challenges, and just do the thing again and again and again. It was very Zen-like. I had a coffee, I threw some Better Call Saul on in the background, and just played this for 4 hours straight. It was a good time. It wasn't my only time playing it, but it's a charming game, and I would play it again. So I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5 because, again, I'm trying to weigh up the difficulty and the experience and how strategically satisfying it was versus just the pure, simple fun I had while playing it. So overall, a 3.5 out of 5. A game that I really enjoyed with some asterisks or just knowing what type of experience it is. As far as other game recommendations, definitely check out Mythwind if you're looking for another kind of just progression-based game where you can't really lose, but it is about how you engage with the content. And then I mentioned it as well, Dwarf Romantic is another one that you don't really lose, you just unlock content at different paces depending on how well you play, which is very similar to what Labyrinth Chronicles does for you. Also, I mentioned at the beginning of the video that Allplay is a channel sponsor. If you head on to allplay.com, you can go ahead and find a variety of games, both from Allplay themselves, as well as their partner publishers, all for $4 flat rate shipping if you are in the US. And if you want to check out a game that's going to give you a similar kind of arc, check out Sail Legacy. If you are looking for a cooperative game, it's not available yet, but I believe you could pre-order that one. But Sail Legacy is going to give you that kind of legacy-light experience where you are unlocking content, trying to figure out your pathways, branching elements, and gives you replayability as well. If you like legacy cooperative games like Labyrinth Chronicles is, I think Sail Legacy will scratch that itch in a different way. In any case, and until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you found this video helpful, and as always, I hope you have a good one.